All right, lots to talk about for this one. I hope you stick with me a little bit. I hope it'll be interesting because this was an interesting novella. Now, this was the third one that I read after Blood Follows and The Lees of Laughter's End. And then the third one in publication order was The Healthy Dead. And I chose to go with publication order. I know that a lot of people will say, well, you should have done the one that happens right before it chronologically in their story. But I just chose not to do that. Now, a part of the reason why I chose that is I know that once I get to the one that's Crackpot Trail or something like that, I think we get little bits from the four that come before it, and then they kind of converge there. That's all I know. And so I wasn't super worried, and I wanted to see the progression of the stories as they come out. So, whatever. Now, the first story, like I've liked all the stories so far, but they have all been very different. Now, the first two were the most similar in that the first one was this sort of murder mystery that reminds you of a Sherlock Holmes or a Agatha Christie in the realm of Malazan with our favorites Korbal Broach and Bauchalain. And it has this absurdist, morbid, dark humor as a part of it. And I really, really liked it as an introduction to this little mini series. Now, on its own, it is definitely the weakest one so far. But for what it is as an intro, I really, really enjoyed that first one. The second one is more of a, it takes on its own sort of Three Stooges meets South Park meets gothic horror, set in the, stuck in a mansion or stuck on a boat with a ghost sort of gothic horror, which I love that sort of thing. Like I don't love a lot of horror, but I do love that old school sort of 1800s gothic horror. And it was so good and it was so funny. The funniest one so far. And then I was just dying to get to this third one, which is called The Healthy Dead, which, what a great play on words. That is so fitting, as well as a lot of the characters have, really in all these stories, there's been characters and place names that have just been kind of absolutely fitting, and that doesn't change there. Now, this one, called The Healthy Dead, is funny because I get the feeling, and I'm not sure why he came up with this one, but he does sort of a different take on things, where rather than kind of grabbing a genre or grabbing a type of story and doing kind of an absurdist take on it, he does more of a social commentary. And I get the feeling like he could have been out and run into a couple fitness influencers or something that really, or friends that were telling him, oh, you got to try this, or you got to do this, or you got to make sure you're always doing, what is it, the P90X, or, that's the old one, but there's the one where they're always like flipping the tires and stuff. And I feel like he could have just been bombarded and then went home, wrote this scathing sort of allegory because he was just annoyed with it all, and then stuck it in their mailbox to say, that's what I think about your stinking fitness zealotry. And it's funny because he could have done this same book in a number of ways, but we'll get to that. But ultimately, what I get out of it is this idea of imposing in a self-righteous sort of way on others. And he could have used religion. We've had lots of books that have kind of taken that bent of it, like religious fervor and pushing one's own faith and beliefs in things in a way that kind of imposes, and kind of taking a pharisaical, would that be the word of the Pharisees in the New Testament, where the intent was good to kind of have people following the law of Moses and things, and would kind of build more and more sort of bylaws, I guess you could kind of say, to make it so people were more and more doing that, and really point the finger, and have this culture of people pointing the finger. But instead, he takes aim at kind of first and foremost, at the center of it is fitness fanatics. And we've all run into these people where, again, like I was saying, we have people who are obsessed with the gym. We have people that are obsessed with diet, and we've run into these types of people, and this is no different. We have a almost cultic zealotry towards following a lifestyle that would be of benefit to the person, like ultimate benefit, and a militant removal to the point of fanaticism, and of anything that would be negative in their life, to the point of death. So it's this idea of always progressing, no step back, to the point of just and it's really dialed up in a way that, rather than reminding me of an 1800s thing, I thought if George Orwell or someone wanted to take aim at this sort of thing, and maybe that's not quite the person, but it's that sort of thing where it's just a scathing sort of social commentary of a particular thing, and I've never seen this exact one done. So he puts this story in their mailbox, and as I was reading it and just enjoying my time with it, thinking this is hilarious because we all just know people like this, I realized that this story is also in my mailbox in a number of ways. Not for the fitness stuff, but it is just about our excessive nature in some ways to impose on others. And I mentioned religion and health. There's politics and imposing our book series and our favorite, pad thai or whatever, to the point of just getting on everyone's nerves. And I know it's a little bit more than that, but it's all in there, where I think even as he was writing this story, he would find this story in his mailbox as well. So much of Malazan is exposing evils and exposing the dark, and then kind of finding the counterpoint in light and compassion, and teaching this higher ideal. But it seems like he's saying, no, even I am subject to this self-righteousness, and you shouldn't even really listen to me to the point of zealotry or that sort of thing, which I think is just such a refreshing thing and so great. I think even like Mary Kondo, the lady where you're supposed to get rid of your stuff and like thank it for its time in your house or whatever it was. Even she apologized and said, that was too much. And I think in a number of ways we can fail at living this balanced lifestyle as we more and more get obsessive with these things, even if they're supposed to be beneficial. I know, like in the terms of the things I've mentioned with religion, you can have faith and you can focus on that, but it can get to the point where it's actually becoming a major negative as you are, it could take over your life and get very negative. And that can be the same with politics, and that can be the same with health, and that can be a number of things. So I just think it was such an impressive novella. Now, if I was doing it, rating them so far in my favorites, it would be at my bottom of the three. I liked the first two more, but I can see how this would probably be a lot of people's favorite if they weren't necessarily fans of those other two genres. I really love it. And of course, I just love the idea of, it's sort of this thing of, look at the mote in your own eye before, or whatever it is, or the whatever in your own eye before calling out the beam or stone house, or not stone houses, throwing the stone when you live in a glass house sort of thing. And it's just great. And rather than simply calling out fitness fanatics, he uses that as the initial kind of target. But you can see how everyone just fits right into that. And I thought it was great. So talk to you guys soon. And I might go on to the next one right away, or it might be time for Memories of Ice. I don't know. Talk to you soon, though. Bye.